Welcome, everyone. I'm with my beautiful co-host, Dawnette. Welcome, Dawnette.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm so happy to be here again.
It's such a great time to begin 2020, January of 2020, to refocus
Mm,
our energy on money.
that's
This
right.
is, this is what we're doing. And you're helping so many people. You're helping so many people refocus their energy on money to make sure that we look at the elephant in the room. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go deep, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to help you to change your life so that you can have a better relationship with money, so that money doesn't run away from you, but that money is, you're going to direct the money where you want it to go. I think we're going to.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Right.
Like I've said, if we don't gain control of our money, it's going to control us and
Yeah.
it's going to dictate what we can and can't do in our lives.
Yes. So let's tell the audience again exactly how you're helping them, because I saw on Instagram the other day, I saw a post that you made, and I saw one of your clients that you've helped was saying how much you changed their life because they had the opportunity to work with you. And I said, my God, this is so fantastic. These are the kind of stories that we need. So tell us, Dawnette, how do you help people change their life, and so that they can have a better relationship with their finances, with money, and create their life from a place of empowerment?
Yeah. So one of the first things we do is we refocus their energy and doing that. What is their why? What are they trying to accomplish in this life? Facing I guess the dirty laundry of how we spend money, right? If we
Yeah.
don't become aware and face what we've done, we're never ever going to be able to change that. We just keep burying it and the habit gets worse and worse. And then we become embarrassed and overwhelmed and we don't get help. And so I really want to help people get out of that hamster wheel and get onto this path where they can live their purpose. And we start with, like I said, refocusing, and we have to make a choice. This is all about making a choice. Do you want to be a slave to living paycheck to paycheck, or do you want to live your purpose? And that's a choice you have to make. And then we can move forward.
That's key. That's a really key thing. It really comes down to the number one thing, and that's choosing.
Yes.
Choosing right now not to be a slave anymore to the past, and saying 2020 is the number 22. There you go. There you go. There you go. 2020 is a number 22, and that number is about personal mastery. And this is the time to really choose and step into personal mastery with your money and live in financial freedom, to be free from the past. And it doesn't matter how long it's going to take, it doesn't matter of any of these things, but to at least begin by taking the first step, and that is to make the choice.
Exactly. We do have to make the choice because we have so much power and we really don't use it and we don't realize it. We almost cripple ourselves um, in all areas of our lives. And so, one question we have to ask is, what is holding you back from financial freedom? What is holding you back? Is it maybe your beliefs about money? Because I know my beliefs were holding me back. I believed I lived, I worked, and I died, and that was it. When I changed my beliefs about money, now it's I live, I serve my purpose, and I'm going to leave a legacy.
Yeah. So I think, that's a key piece. What is your belief about money? Because the way we've been conditioned, maybe in the family that you were born into, there were certain beliefs about money, like you have to work hard for the money, or money's the root of all evil, or whatever those conditions were, whatever those beliefs are, but to bring them up to your consciousness right here, right now, and identify those beliefs. And we could start with three beliefs, right? Like one, two, three, right? Finding out what your beliefs are. And that would be the first thing, so that you can really, we know it's easy to change our beliefs today, because
Yeah.
just because that we were born and raised into those beliefs doesn't mean that we have to continue on living that way, right?
Yes, that's very, very true. And a good book to listen or read about that is The Four Agreements.
That is a very good book.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. The four agreements. What do you believe? That's a great way to start. So, okay, what's the next thing? It's the beliefs. You said that would be the first step. Choosing, looking at your beliefs, and
Right.
then what would be the next step?
And then we have to find out our why. What is our why? Why are we doing this? What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to serve? What is our purpose? And then, of course, the smarter goals, like we talked about last time, smarter goals, specific, measurable, actionable, risky, timely, exciting, and relevant.
Can you tell me about, the people that you're working with currently or that you have worked with in the past? So they come to you and what would be basically their what would be like a storyline of somebody that has come to you to begin looking at their finances and then tell us where you've taken them.
So people come, I have clients that make $20,000 a year and clients that make millions of dollars a year, and they're both broke. And it's because they're not paying attention. They're not aware. They're just kind of going through life spending money. So we obviously refocus, ask what their why is, and start setting their financial goals. What are some things they want to accomplish in their life? We align their behaviors and their habits with those goals because everybody's is different. So there's no cookie cutter system. I'm not going to tell every single client do step 1, 2, 3, and 4 because everybody's life is different and everybody's needs, wants, and goals and values are different. So my procedure is based on their life and their lifestyle because that's different as well. But it's really just helping people become aware of what they're doing and then empowering them to change that so that they can see that all these things they want to do are possible with their finances. It is possible.
Yes. So what has happened for some of the people that you're working with when they came to you, they were both broke. And now what are some of the testimonials? What are some of the stories that people are telling now after, refocusing on their finances, changing their belief systems, really looking at what their core values are, which direction that they want to go? What has happened? What are some of the stories that people are telling?
So I worked with a brokerage group, real estate broker, and I worked with the whole team, including the owner. Um, Through the process, some people were weeded out because they realized it just wasn't for them. It wasn't making them happy, and it weeded them out. The other people rose, and their lives changed so incredibly. They got right with their finances, and they were able to focus at work and get work done instead of checking to see, oh my gosh, is this check going to clear? Do I have enough to go to lunch? Am I going to pay the electric bill? They're focused at work on selling properties. And in turn, the owner was also in debt. He paid all his debt off. His business has soared and gone to a level that it's never gone to before, just by everybody getting right with their finances. It's amazing what it does because it really affects every area of our lives.
That's so powerful, the whole business. I mean, what a gift. Now, is this something that the business owner gave as a gift to his
Yes.
employees?
Yes.
I mean, my God, that is like, what a beautiful gift to give that because now not only is he thriving, is his business thriving, are his employees thriving, and their families. And that's all rippling out into the community, and all because of you are teaching them how to do it.
Yes, I don't even know how to explain it. It's an overwhelming joy to be part of that. It really, really is.
My God.
I've had another couple who um, they did not talk about money. They
Uh,
called their budget the little black book. And for 34 years, it was either she did the finances or he did the finances. But after working together, they talk about it every single day. And by the way, in October, they became debt free, which was so exciting to be on that journey with them for 2 years. And they finally became debt free. It
that-
was amazing. And their communication is, I mean, to have communication in a relationship about money is everything because, as we know, money fights are the leading cause of divorce.
Yeah, and that's a huge stressor. I know that you're big on talking about money and stress and how that manifests in the physical body and how it's a leading cause for divorce, and being able to talk about money with your partner or with your teenage children, or
Yes.
even children that are becoming teenagers, teaching them how to work their finances, to live debt free, and to have a different relationship with money, and start this early on. But it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter where you are. The number one key is to choose and to begin.
Exactly. No matter where you're at, it's never too early or too late to start, ever, on anything.
Yeah, I can only imagine, how that business owner that entire brokerage firm, what's happening for those people. And like you said, it's not for everybody, because some people, there's just too much fear, that they're just not ready to take on that level of responsibility. But when we realize that money is here to support us so that we can fully express and live our lives, and having more money gives us more freedom. And so if your values are, I want to live in freedom, I want to be free, I don't want to be a slave to the matrix, I don't want to be a slave to the people, I want to be free, and I want to live my life according to my values, what's important to me. When you have um, greater sleep at night, where you have good communication and you're looking at your finances and you feel in charge, like I heard you say, is feeling in control with your money,
Yeah,
being in control with your money, right, Dawnette?
that's right. And we're gonna talk about what it does to your body in a little bit, but 92% of people are losing sleep over money. That's a huge, huge percentage.
Yeah, so let's ask the audience right now, how many of you wake up in the middle of the night at like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever time, and you're in a state of panic about your finances? And you know how, when the intro of this show is women and money, is that, women, for the stakes for women are really high, because we've given our power away before to our husbands, our partners, our, wherever, that women haven't really gotten that good with money, because they haven't really fully claimed their power in it. And
Right.
to really claim your power, that you are just as good with money as is anyone else. And the main thing is to not stay silent.
This is true. Listen, ladies, our bodies can have babies, okay? We are powerful people, and we are yes, we're different from men, but we're just as equal as them. And you deserve to have your finances in order. You deserve to have enough, and you are enough. And I really, really want you to know that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I say, ladies, don't raise your children to become another poverty statistic. Let us create our new world that's empowered, that is flourishing financially, and that is people that are engaged and that want to support each other the same way that your broker supported his entire staff. I mean, just think of, if all businesses were to do that, or school systems, or where this kind of a gift would be brought into the workplace, right?
Yes. And if the younger we can hit it, the better. Because children pick up everything we do. Even if we're not telling them, they're seeing what we're doing. They see the stress, they feel it. And they know when all of that's there and it affects them. And then they grow up with these beliefs about money and they're afraid of it and they're not good enough and they don't deserve it. And that's just not the truth. And we don't have to raise our children like that anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing. I mean, we're just going to skip this break right now. So we're just going to keep going. So the main thing is, changing those beliefs that we were born and raised with, the same way when we were younger and we were under the influence of our parents, who, there's no judgment. It's just, it was part of the conditioning. It was part of their time. And now this is part of our time, and we have to choose what's right for us. And you don't have to live your past. You can recreate your life based on values that are important to you. And if you value living in freedom and being financially free and being empowered, then shifting those limiting beliefs and bringing your body into a greater ease and health, you know, is is possible.
Yes, very so. Very much so, especially today, right?
Yeah, yeah. So when we're talking about the holding, financial stress in the body, what are do you know some of the statistics that is out there that happens when you hold stress in the body for around your finances?
Yes, we heart attacks increase, ulcers, insomnia, back pain, all of these problems that we have with our body and our health increase when we're stressed with our finances.
Yeah. I mean, and we've heard this before where people have committed suicide because they're financially challenged. Suicide is a big leading trigger point for people because they see no way out. But
Expect
what we want to do is we want to talk about there is a way out, and that you don't, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is, when it is, there's always a way. There's always a way. One of the things that I like, Dawnette, is you have a budget sheet that people can get on your website.
yes.
Let's tell them where to get that. And also everybody's going to get this sheet today as part of a free gift, right? So
Yeah.
let's tell the audience where they can go to get that.
Well, I sent you guys a link. So it's going to be on the link. If you guys can place that wherever you guys place it, click the link. You're going to get this spreadsheet. It's an interactive spreadsheet. I use it. I use it with all of my clients. And if you need help with it, I offer a 30-minute free call so we can talk about it, find out what your goals are, and I can show you how to use the sheet real quick. Um, it's a really good sheet on how to budget, how to allocate, and then track what you're actually doing so that you can see where you need to make adjustments. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things. I used to do when I first started, everything was on paper, and I was thinking, how am I going to go to this Excel sheet? I love the paper. I love the paper. Once I switched over to this Excel sheet, I'm like, why did I ever use a paper?
Oh, good, good.
But
Well,
it's,
I just,
it's a great,
I know we're going to put the link in the YouTube video. We're going to do that for
yeah,
everybody. But I want to be able to tell the people that are listening, that are driving, I want to plant the seed. We're
yes.
going to go to your website. Where's the website?
It's www.proverbsfinancialcoaching.com.
Good. And they can access that sheet there because that's the main thing is get it, print it out, look at it, become intimate with it, and just make the choice that that's it. 2020, I'm going to become debt free.
That's right.
I'm going to change my relationship with money and I'm going to tell a new story. This
Yeah.
is the time.
Yeah. It's time for you to gain control of your finances, guys. And
Yeah.
that is the next step is gaining control. How do we gain control of our finances? Well, guess what? You got to pull out those dirty things called bank statements.
Yeah.
People aren't looking at what they're doing. So pull out 3 months of bank statements, go through it, find out where your money's going, make categories, add it up, and you can make adjustments from there. Once you know, like I said, becoming aware, knowing where your money's going, then you have the control to change it. You have the control to say, I don't want to spend $1,000 a month eating out. I have these other things I want to do. That's why our why and our goals are so important first, so that we know where we want to say yes and where we want to say no.
Right. Yeah. And looking at it so that you can tell your money where to go.
That's
Is
right.
that right?
Yes, exactly. Because
Yeah.
then now you're in control and you get to say, this is where you're going, not over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really, I find that a lot of people they know it's there, but they feel like if they don't look at it.
No, this is true. Almost everybody I talk to, they're like, "Mm, I don't look at it. I don't know." People don't know how much is going into their account, much less how much is coming out. They just keep swiping, and the banks have us fooled with these overdraft protections. It's not a protection, guys. We're still paying for it when our accounts don't have enough money. Banks are making $35 billion off of you overdrafting. $35 billion. What could we be doing with that money?
Rescuing all those abandoned children, those children that don't have enough food to eat, that don't have a secure home,
That's right.
that we
Yeah,
could be doing so much good with our money. That's the part, ladies. I mean, it's not just ladies, it's everybody, but especially women, where we've given our power away so that we can really fully, empower ourselves and make better choices, and so that your legacy is going to be different than the hand that was dealt to you, because you don't have to continue on telling that story or playing that, but being responsible and going, that's it, I'm going to look at all of this. I find that when we look at everything and look at it right away, it doesn't mean that everything is going to 100% be fixed and taken care of.
right.
It's going to take a little while, but
Yes,
first thing that we have to do is look, be willing to look, be willing to have the conversation. And that's why it's so important to have a mentor or to have a coach.
yes.
And I can't urge people enough to give you a call, because you give people that 15-20 minute free consultation so that you can hold their hand and tell them it's going to be okay if they're willing to do the work.
That's right. You
And
guys,
the
go to
other
my
thing,
website and book your free consult.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to, hound you with emails or put you in some kind of, sales funnel. Just book the appointment, there's no obligation, we can talk and see if we're a good fit.
Yeah, I like that, because the other thing I find is that people feel ashamed.
Yeah,
People feel ashamed. They feel ashamed of maybe what their situation is like, and they maybe feel ashamed of what they've done,
yeah.
or the lack of, you know, responsibility they've taken, so they just don't look.
No, and I agree, it's true. I did the same thing. I
Yeah,
didn't wanna look because I didn't wanna know. But there is freedom in knowing, you guys. That is where the freedom is,
yeah.
because then we have the power to make the change, because we have power to change the next generation, to change the next generation and get out of this cycle.
You know what I was thinking about this morning? I was thinking, like, we need to let that inner rebel come out. We need to let that inner rebel come out. And I thought, like, I mentor people, I coach people, and I thought, how can I, engage people to let that inner rebel come out, to really let it come out. And I thought about this, and I thought, wow, uh, what if I told you that you couldn't do something? Like, or like, if you were told, nope, you can't get out of, you have to stay in debt, no, you can't be financially free, no, you can't do that. What what would that do to the person? Like, that would really, when I feel, like, don't tell me I can't do something,
Yeah,
because I'm going to do it. It's kind of like reverse psychology kind of thing. So I'm calling everybody to the carpet. It's time to, because it all begins with our own inner self, our home. That's where it begins. Like, and then it's going to ripple out. And
that's right.
so, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're focusing on where to tell our money where to go,
Where to go. Mhm.
right? And we are looking at how we want to change our financial trajectory, how we want to change things. We're looking at it, we're making a spreadsheet, we're refocusing our energy, we're choosing it, we're shifting and changing those limiting beliefs, and we're fierce. We're fierce, we're bold, and we're going to do it.
That's right. And I can't encourage you guys enough that you really truly have the power to change your life. And if there's people telling you you have to stay in debt or you can't do it, you need to get them out of your life, and you need to bring in people who are going to say, "Yes, you can, and let me help you and show you how."
Good. And you're the one that's going to help
And
them
I'm
do
the one
that.
that's going to do it.
Thank God. And thank God, because you told me before we started the show today, you told me that you were just at an event.
Yes, I
And
was
tell me about the event.
so I had the opportunity to speak to about 35 young professional realtors. We were speaking on the millionaire mindset. And that it's still possible to become millionaires. 79% of millionaires do not inherit their wealth. That is very refreshing because we
That's
have a lot of
us.
misconceptions about that as well.
That's us. That
Yeah,
is, it's,
yeah,
it's a choice, right?
yes, absolutely. And it's a hard work. It's work and it's sacrifice, but they live on a budget.
They live on a
They
budget.
live on a budget. They avoid debt. They avoid lifestyle creep, which means when their income increases, their lifestyle does not. They save and invest, and they prioritize their personal development.
And I bet they tell their money where to go.
That's right.
You know,
That's where they
I
take
love
their
that
money.
term. I love that term. Tell your money where to go,
Yeah.
right?
Tell
Yeah.
your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Yeah. Have your money work for you instead of you working for your money. I
That's
mean,
right. That's right. Money is a tool. It's a tool for us to use to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in life and in this world.
yeah. I mean, I'm so glad, Dawnette, that you're bringing this, that we're starting the year out 2020 with, focusing on money, changing our financial story, and that, yeah, let's create the next millionaire generation. Whether you want to be a millionaire or not, or you want to get debt free and you want to live in financial freedom, this is the time to do it. And we have the resources, we have the tools, and it's about the people that you support yourself with. What do they say?
Mhm.
Those five people that you hang around, that support you, that's how you can become a success.
That's
And
right.
right,
Yeah. You got to look at the circle around you. Definitely.
gotta look at the circle around you. So let's take a break, and when we come back, you brought with you a special guest that you're going to introduce us to. I'm
Yes, I'm so
excited to meet.
excited.
Yeah, so let's take a break. We'll be right back.
My name's Bob Skeel. I'm 91 years old, and I want to take a few minutes now to share with you the important role, actually the critical role, Kornelia has played in my life. I say critical because I'm not sure I'd be alive at all to the many possibilities that make up our human experience at my age, if not for her. I could have easily become another dead man walking, only half conscious, stumbling through my remaining years, if it hadn't been for Kornelia. 6 years ago, I lost my wife to Alzheimer's. We'd been married for 61 years. I never thought I'd be a widower, but there I was, suddenly lost and alone, but with the good sense to set a working goal for myself. I was going to spend the rest of my life committed to unconditional love, whatever that meant and wherever that took me. A year or so later, Kornelia came along, helping me over several years to focus that unconditional love where it had never been focused before, on me. My whole life, my entire being had been focused on love of neighbor, and I had derived great satisfaction from that. But in the process, I had ignored the second part. I love your neighbor as yourself. Now it was time to direct that love inward. I didn't see that right away, but Kornelia did, and she drew me there. She drew me actually to God. Through many conversations over coffee and after numerous, sometimes tearful, agonizing discussions, Kornelia was able to lead me, kicking and screaming, to within where I needed to be. It was there finally that I was able to re-identify myself. It was in bringing unconditional love to myself that I now saw myself in a new light, a fully conscious, worthy human being, capable of healing, loving, and creating in my own right all these gifts of the evolutionary process. I'm a new man now, younger as I get older. I don't move as fast as I once did, of course, but my smile is quicker and I engage the heart and mind of others more readily. I would likely not be at such a wonderful stage in my life if not for Kornelia. I owe my new life to her, a wonderful friend and a constant source of inspiration. Thank you, Kornelia.
Welcome back, everybody. We are changing our relationship with money and we're talking about how to do that. And so, Dawnette, what happens if we don't change?
That is exactly what we're going to talk about. What happens to your health if you don't change your behavior with money? A lot of stress is on our bodies and it shows up in many, many ways. Headaches, ulcers, heart attacks, anxiety. We talked about all of that earlier. Um, Garrett, I have here Garrett Wood. He's a hypnotherapist. He specializes in helping founders, owners, and execs and athletes turn their burnout into a breakthrough with simple, sustainable solutions. He develops your resilience through a biopsychosocial model so that you can overcome traumatic stress and without ending your relationship, career, or sacrificing your health and happiness. Over the years, Garrett has helped busy execs end exhaustion, eliminate pain, create supportive relationships, and transform their business. Garrett has personal experience with chronic pain, weight gain, frustration, and anxiety with work and resentment in relationships. And he is excited to share his work and the tools that he's brought to the table. So, Garrett, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here to share a little bit of tips and tricks about managing stress, especially when it comes to finances. I think in every single one of the clients that I see in my practice, finances come up. It comes up before they decide to invest in themselves and try to seek some help outside of their personal circle to find something professional. And that requires an investment on their part. And so there's always this apprehension of, is it going to be a smart use of their investment and their time? And anytime you're investing in yourself, as you all know, it pays off dividends in the long run. Those millionaires next door are big fans of personal development for good reason. It seems like financial stress is at the center of most people's problems in their relationships with their significant others. It pushes them to do a lot of damaging things to their body where they're working overtime and split shifts, and they're overextending themselves to try to generate revenue that has a long-term consequence in their health. And I think Richard Branson has a fun quote that says that you can't make more time, so the closest you can do is live a healthier lifestyle, because then you can have more of the time. And that's the smartest financial investment you can have, because when that money's working for you, you actually get to work smarter and not harder over time, which is pretty cool. So I think a lot of times when people are planning their budget, they're afraid that they're going to have this thing where what makes their life enjoyable, those things, those little extras and luxuries that they put in there, they're going to have to say goodbye to. And then why are they going to even have an existence where they don't get to have any enjoyment at all? And all it is slaving away at work. And then the misery of fighting about finances at home. And then there's nothing left over for them to enjoy for all of that effort and energy. And so I think when you talk about the why that people go through in your process and being really smart about what stays on the list and what gets moved off so they can be really intentional is really important. But that doesn't mean in the heat of the moment when an Amazon sale goes on, or we open our email and we see a sale from one of our favorite products, or we're at the grocery store at Target, you go in for 2 items that are on the list and in the budget, and you come out with 30 that aren't, or 3, depending on who you are. There's moments in there where we don't feel okay. We had a rough day. We just had a fight. We saw something that made us feel insecure. And so our fight or flight response, our stress response get triggered. And in that moment, it's really easy to try to do anything that makes us feel good. And for a lot of us, that involves spending some type of money, whether it's on food or my personal favorite is books. I like buying books. And so I feel like if I get my integrity scared and I get a little nervous, I go and buy 2 more books, and it's $10, but at the end of the year, it adds up. So in those moments when we look at something that's not on our budget, that we've decided that doesn't fit in with our why, but we still need to change how we feel, and we know that that's going to involve spending some money on something, we need to have another tip or trick to kind of help neutralize that. And so a lot of the clients that I work with, we kind of look at that from a biopsychosocial perspective, meaning biology is actually where that stress response comes from. It's innate, it helps you, it keeps you safe, or it has in the past. And so when it gets triggered, it's not a bad thing, and we can't try to suppress it and do this top-down mind over body situation, because we end up losing that, because it requires logic, reason, and willpower. And when we're stressed out, we don't have access to the capacity for logic, reason, and willpower. So that's the one time we actually can't use that at all. So we can use that logic, reason, willpower when we're putting down our plan, when you're hanging out with Dawnette and you're having those calls and you're going over those things. But to take that action from the call to in person, we need to have another plan that's really easy, really convenient, and doesn't require logic or reason or willpower when we're stressed out and triggered in those fight or flight responses. And so the easiest thing to do is to use a system that already happens in your body, where you actually, if you see someone trip and fall, you naturally have these muscles that contract to protect your spine because we're empathetic people. And so it's there to protect us. And so sometimes it's clenching our jaw or our hands or holding our breath or squeezing our sphincter muscles, which are our pelvic floor muscles, or a Kegel is what the exercise is called. So what we can actually do when we feel triggered or we feel those responses and we're going to spend some money to make ourselves feel better, before we spend that, whether it's $2 on a Snickers bar, or whether it's $22 on a magazine, or whether it's $220 on a new skirt or shirt that'll make you look good that day, I would recommend just squeezing the jaw, holding the breath, squeezing our hands, and doing a Kegel all at the same time, and then relaxing. And if we do that 5 times, you get this really interesting thing where that thought or that environment is still there and that trigger is still present, but now you've contracted and protected yourself and felt safe and then relaxed in front of that trigger. And you can't be in a trigger and be relaxed and still be triggered. And so your body actually tones down that response. And so then you can just be yourself in that moment without having to have spent the $2 or the $200. And so you can still stay on your budget.
That's awesome, Garrett. Tell us how to do that one again. Tell us how to do that one again.
I know, I was trying to write it down.
Yeah. So it's really, yeah. So it's a contract, relax, forward feeding the response. So you would squeeze your hands nice and tight and follow them up, clench your jaw, hold your breath, and do a Kegel all at the same time. And then you would relax all those muscles, and you would do that 5 times in a row. And so you can do this in the checkout line. You can do this when you get a text message or when you're scrolling on Instagram and an ad pops up right after you just saw your favorite celebrity using the skincare routine. And then now the next thing is an ad because you liked it, right? All of these systems are designed to eke out as much, squeeze as much out of you as possible. And they catch you in your downtimes where your guard's not up necessarily, where you're having a private moment to yourself. And most of the time we go to scroll when we are stressed out and we're trying to get away from something in our environment that's triggering us. So sometimes that's when we're at most susceptible to those types of advertisements. And so using this technique, you can kind of mitigate that response, tone down your autonomic nervous system, and then you can just be okay in your body. Because every time you relax, you're toning down that response, and then you can just be yourself.
Wow. So it's almost, so I was picturing like, the water's really cold, but you want to jump in there and you're just like tensed up and you're like, 1, 2, 3, and you jump in and take the plunge. That's great. Also, I want to say, through the journey, through any journey, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall down. But the important thing is that we get back up. We get back up. And if you go into places where you're going to be tempted to do something, don't go there. Don't go there, you guys. I stay out of places. Unless I need something, I go there and I get what I need. And that's a muscle I've developed over time. Is okay, I want to go in here, this store, this is all I'm getting, or this is all I have to spend. And in the beginning, I didn't listen all the time. I fell, I made mistakes. But now I'm to the point where I can go into Costco, I get what I need, and I leave. I don't get distracted by all those things they have out there during the holidays and things like that. I just am in there. I'm there to get my family's food and leave.
Yeah, that is a practice. That is a practice. And, having that list and having that control, having that agreement that you've made with yourself that you want to be debt free, that you know what your core values are, that you've got your spreadsheet. And, we need to make this whole thing, Garrett, I'm sure you can agree with me on this. We need to make it fun. We need to make it fun. We need to make it fun. We need to make it sexy to look at our finances. We need to make that fun instead of a dreaded experience.
Yeah.
We need to make it fun so that it's like you said, it becomes empowering. It's empowering to feel that way. It's empowering to say no. It's empowering to just get the things on the list. It's going to serve you better. It just gives me the chills just even saying it.
It's so true. And at the beginning, Garrett said people are afraid of what their budget's going to tell them they can't do.
That's it.
But it really brings things into perspective so that we could tell our money what we are going to do and what we can do instead of making these $2,000 payments to our debt. All that money is going to something we did months ago. If you had that extra $2,000 a month, what could you be doing with it? What could you be saying yes to? What could you be saying yes to your future to? Those are things we have to think about and get excited about, because that's exciting. I don't have a $2,000 debt payment anymore. I get to take my family on a vacation, or I get to go buy that dress I wanted, or I get to buy this that I wanted, or I get to put it away and save for my future. Whatever it is that's important to you, get excited about that. This is your hard-earned money. You need to gain control of it and tell it what to do.
Yeah. During the holidays, I was involved in a hit and run, and my car, I've had my car since 2004. It's a Mitsubishi Lancer, and I paid it off during the first year that I got it.
Good
And
for
I hadn't had a car payment in all the years, right? And it felt really good. And I took care of the car. Car was great. It was clean. It was fantastic. And not having a car payment, it was just perfect. And so now when I had this hit and run, the car was basically totaled.
you.
And I it was hard because now I was being faced with an event that took place that I wasn't counting on, like, okay, I wasn't planning on getting a new car. I wasn't planning on buying another car. I was planning on just taking care of my car. And I still may, because I'm so attached to that little hoopty. It's a fast little car, and it's been such a great car for me. And I just loved not having that car payment. Plus, it kept me grounded. Of everybody's buying all these expensive cars and doing all these things, but it's just been a perfect car for me. So these are decisions and things that we make based on our values, what's important to us, what we really want. And these are ways that it can really support you to stay debt free.
That's right. And with the cars, people are buying these 50, 60, $70,000 cars. They lose their 20 to 30% of their value in the first year and 20% consistently every year after. Cars are really not investments. They're just a tool to get us around. So why are we spending so much money on something that loses so much value when we could be taking that average car payment is over $500 a month and socking it away for our future, or putting it towards something that we want to do later? And that's really something we have to think about when we're faced with those kinds of things that
Yeah.
we need to do.
Yeah. Garrett, tell us a little bit more about your work, your hypnotherapy work. How do you help people, and what kind of people come to you? I can see how, people come to you, having that conversation, like, I've got all these issues in my body, I've got relationship issues, or I've got weight issues, or maybe even financial issues. And that's the place to start. And then do you take them then and send them over to Dawnette after that?
Absolutely. If someone shows up and they're having financial issues, Dawnette's my go-to person. We talk a little bit about identity, because there's a reason why people do things. Any habit, whether it's food or getting angry at someone, comes from a really very real learned place, where when we first learned that pattern, it served us really well. But as we grow and mature and our environment changes and our situations change, what used to work doesn't work for us anymore. But when it's been there for so long, sometimes we don't even realize that it actually is a choice. It's just such a part of us because we've had it with us for so long. And so some of that work that we do is really about changing that identity around it. And then naturally, our habits and our outcomes get changed, as long as we have the nice action plan to go with it and the resources and the vision of what that looks like. But without that change in identity, it makes it really challenging to do any of those transformational changes. There's a big difference between saying, oh, I'm trying to quit, versus, oh, no, thank you, I'm a non-smoker. And that change in those two is the identity piece. I'm a non-smoker versus I'm trying. Those are very two different statements. And when you can say oh, no, thank you, I'm not that, then you know that it's just a matter of time before that outcome or that habit is completely gone. And so when it comes to finances, and you mentioned this, making it fun, a lot of our social environment is about going out and spending money with our friends. And so sometimes when that's not on our budget, it can feel isolating. But you both have mentioned about having a social circle is really important that supports you in your goals, and trying to make that as an enjoyable experience as possible. So maybe it's you meet for appetizers instead of like a 3-course dinner. Maybe it's that you bring your own coffee to Starbucks with everybody when you meet up with them. Maybe it's that you meet for a park and go for a walk and take pictures on your cell phone and do a photo challenge. Whatever your own interest is, bringing that to a shared group where it doesn't have any cost associated with it, that's a really fun social piece that can help people with their finances and making saving money super fun and rewarding.
That's a fantastic idea. And I think if we were to do that, we also give people permission that they don't have to spend that $5 on coffee, or, the $50 on a 3-course meal. But let's get together by the fire in the backyard and really get intimate there, and everybody bring something and really bring that community back. And that's great. I love that. And I think when we get our finances in order and we don't spend all this money, we are giving people permission to do the same, because they're probably under the same stress we are. They're just not saying it.
What I want to do, you guys, is I want to take those recommendations that you just made, Garrett, and I want to create a challenge. And so what we'll do after we listen to the replay, we'll write those down, 1, 2, 3, the things that you said. And then we want to invite the public, when we're sharing this on our social media, we want to invite you, the public, to play with us and do those things, those things that Garrett recommended, so that we can, give people permission. We can change things up, and we challenge you to do that instead of the things that you've done before, just as flipping that switch, and we challenge you to play with us in that way. And that's going to be a fun way for this next month until Dawnette comes back. By the way, next month, I just found out she's going to bring her daughters onto the show, and we're gonna talk about that. That's really been a wonderful example of how to start this early, and how to help your children and your partner, and various ways to get started. So
I'm super excited about that.
that's
You
going
guys
to
get to hear the whole transformation that they went through my transformation, which is awesome. I mean, I'm so proud of them. They're so awesome. And this summer, I'll actually be launching a coaching program, playing a video game, learning about finances. So it takes you from 15 years old to retirement, and all the life choices of going to college, not going to college, getting jobs, working overtime, credit cards, buying a house, all this stuff within a game. I played it. It was so much fun, and I'm going to launch it this summer.
Wow. So how did this game come to be? It sounds exciting. How did it come to be? Does it exist? Did you create it?
I didn't create it, but a group of coaches created it. And another coach put together a whole teen program called Money Smart Academy, which I'm going to be taking into a youth shelter in about a month or two to help the at-risk kids learn about money and how they can change the cycle of living in poverty and being broke. How can they change that cycle? Well, it's about becoming aware, making a choice, doing their why, and setting their goals. And yeah, their goals are going to be a little bit different because they're younger, and our goals change as we get older, but still, let's learn to goal set as soon as possible. We have something to shoot for and something to look forward to, have a purpose in our life.
Wow, you're a mover and a shaker. I'm loving all the goals and the different things that you're doing. And this is a perfect way to empower the youth, to empower people to really shift and change. And like we said, let's do it and let's have fun with it. It doesn't have to be as scary as we think.
And it really isn't. I think we have that in our head because for some reason we're really afraid of change. Even though we know that we need to change, we need to do something different, we're afraid of it. But we have to just face the fear and do it anyways.
Yeah.
Just because we're afraid doesn't mean that we can't do it. It's okay to be afraid. I am giving you permission to be afraid. But be afraid and do it anyways, you guys, because it's gonna change your life. And I was talking about today in that workshop, the millionaire mindset and the power of personal development. You guys, when I was a teenager and I had to talk in front of people, I didn't go to school because I was afraid. But I've gotten up over the years, and talking in front of people brings me energy, and it has brought me to a place that I never thought I would go, and I wouldn't have been if I stayed afraid.
Yeah, you definitely have taken action and you've faced your fear and you did it anyway. Because what is that acronym? It's fear, false evidence appearing real, right? False evidence appearing real. What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
And the worst thing that can happen is you could be a success. I mean, you know, you could be a total success.
that's right.
Yeah, and which is not the worst thing, but you could be a success. That's one of the benefits is who knows what can happen. And I'm excited about all the new things that you're up to, Dawnette, and what you're going to be doing, and you're going to be sharing it here. So be sure to turn in always on the third Friday of every month when you're going to see this video later. Share with us in the comments and let us know what you're struggling with, what you need support with. Give Dawnette a call. Garrett, let's get your website where people can contact you for support.
Yeah, it's www.gnosistherapy.com, which is Gnosis Therapy with a silent G there. So gnosistherapy.com.
Good. And we'll definitely put all of those websites and then the free gifts. We have free gifts for everybody here today. We'll put those links in the YouTube description. Please, share with us, because I really feel like people there's no shame. There's no shame. It's just, who cares about what happened in the past? It's about what we're doing now. That's really important.
And you know what, you guys, we've all messed up.
No kidding.
We've all done it. So don't feel bad. Let's just deal with it and move on. Because we need to, if we don't face the past and say, okay, we did that, now how can we make it different? We're just going to stay where we're at, and nothing's going to change.
Here's my signature question, my new signature question for you guys. I remembered. And that is, what message would you put on a t-shirt, Garrett?
What?
Ooh, that's a really fun one. A message on a t-shirt. I think the idea is you are the solution. Whatever's going on, whatever you have going on, there's something that you can do. And life isn't always fair, but when you look close enough, there's a solution in there, and it usually comes from within.
You are the solution. What about you, Dawnette? What message would you put on a t-shirt?
I would have to say, live your purpose.
Live your
purpose. And we're not going to find our purpose if we don't gain clarity on our life and our finances, either talking with me or with Garrett, or even with you in your 21-day challenge that you're doing, and clearing all the junk out. Because we all have it, you guys. We all have junk. We're not different than anybody else. We've just chose to move past it. And we want to help you do the same. We want to empower you and help you change your life and change the generations to come.
Yeah, and we're doing that. We're changing the world. We're doing this every single day with how we show up in the world and taking fearless action no matter what. Like Dawnette said, face the fear and do it anyway. And so my t-shirt would say, be yourself to the max.
Oh,
be yourself. So we have, you are the solution, live your purpose, and be yourself to the max. Thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Dawnette, for bringing your wisdom and your expertise. And we'll see you all again next time. Take care.
Have a great day, you guys.
Hi.
Bye.
My name is Janet Hickox, and I want to tell you a little story about a story and how my friend Kornelia Stephanie helped me through to the other end of that story. I have gone from the dark of a story I was telling myself that wasn't true to the light of optimism to see my way out of where I was and to where I want to go. And it all started with her scheduling a session for me to help me reclaim my money or my financial empowerment. up until that point, I had been telling the story that my business was dying, that my business was not successful anymore. And the more I tried to figure out what was going on, the worse I felt about it. And when I had to get ready to do the session with Cornelia, she asked me to go look at the numbers and where I was through the year to date, and then also to come prepared with a number that I wanted to raise my income to. Well, I was quite comfortable with that part, right? I knew where I wanted to be. What I wasn't comfortable with doing is going and looking up those numbers. But I made myself do it, even though I tried to backpedal my way out of the session. Um, she didn't know that, but I was going to try to get myself out of the session. And I looked up those numbers. And it was incredible that I discovered through that process that my business wasn't dying. In fact, I was doing 12% better than I had the year before. So I was shocked. I was shocked literally at the power of the story that I had been telling for months. But more than that, I was shocked that I had allowed myself to get there. And later in that day when I had my session with Cornelia, she pointed out some very obvious things like, how are you going to get where you want to go if you don't know where you want to go? How are you going to get there if you don't have the goals written out, if you don't have it set up so that you know where you are and where you're going to go? Totally makes sense, right? And I had been in business, somebody else's business, as a sales manager for years, and I was a national sales manager. I had awards for sales management. I had business awards because of numbers. And yet when it came to doing my own business, I totally forgot all that I'd ever learned. So by the time Cornelia, working with me in just one session, got me to look deeper at the numbers and where did I want to go, and actually, claiming where I wanted to go, I was filled with a sense of optimism and hope like you can't believe. It was like everything shifted for me. And I am so looking forward to our continued sessions to see how far I can really push myself to get where I've only dreamed of being, where I've never taken the dream and actually brought it into concrete existence. So thank you, Cornelia, for the work that you're doing out there. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see where I go from here.